we've seen stories of people squandering their riches, including lottery winnings on shows on DSTV such as I Blew It. And this again has highlighted the importance of financial advice for those who become multi-millionaires literally overnight. Joining us for this discussion and to also unpack the significance of trauma counselling in receiving a sudden windfall is Lebogang Mokoena. She is the corporate specialist at Ithuba and is with us in studio. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for popping by, especially for a conversation like this. I mean, we don't often think about winning the lottery in this way, do we? I mean, for most people, it's just about getting the millions into your bank account and living your best life, as they say. But there's a psychology that one needs to be prepared for if they're going to be able to spend this money responsibly.
Definitely, I totally agree. One is never really prepared, and that's why when someone wins a huge jackpot and they come through to our offices to claim, we usually offer them trauma advice from qualified psychologists because, as you correctly mentioned, digesting this huge amount of money and a lot of them really are just in a state of disbelief and shock. So our psychologists are there to usually just guide them through the process, accept the information that their lives, of course, will never be the same again, and just basically guide them through their emotions. A lot of them excited, a lot of them are overwhelmed, some in a state of disbelief. So we do definitely provide trauma counseling for those instances.
And what do you find is the one thing that most of these winners tend to overlook after essentially being able to win the lottery?
It's a bit difficult to say because a lot of winners react in different ways.
Right.
One of the things I would say is their financial status after the winnings. So we often, actually all the time, give them financial advice through qualified registered financial advisors. And a lot of them sometimes reject the financial advice.
I was about to ask, how open are they? Because, I mean, when you receive millions, you're on top of the world.
Definitely. Some of them do actually take the advice from our resident financial advisors, but there's only so much you can do in terms of guiding a person. And you do get instances where there are other winners who just say, no thanks, I'll consult my own private banker. But in terms of guiding them and offering them that financial advice, we do that the minute that they come to claim. But after they've received their winnings, we have really little control in terms of what they do with their money afterwards.
Yeah, and because that was what I was going to go into, how much room really is there for sustained oversight from Ithuba once people walk out of your offices with that money? The sense I'm getting from you is that's actually where the gap lies. Once they're out there, it's difficult to get them back.
It is indeed challenging to get them back. I mean, once they've received their money, they never really want to be in contact with us. And we also don't really reach out to them either. But the best thing we can do for them is the financial advice that they receive whilst they are with us before the money is paid out. We really urge them to take that financial advice and the guidance and apply it the minute they walk out of our offices. Yeah,
we'll speak about what that advice is specifically, because I imagine it's useful for people who aren't necessarily also winning the lottery, but may find themselves with some windfall. But before we do that, I'm interested to find out from you whether you see a difference between those who win according to the socioeconomic background that they come from, if you get what I mean. I mean, typically shows like I Blew It, which I've just mentioned now, focus on people who didn't have money and how getting all these millions essentially turns their life upside down. Are you finding it is those individuals, usually from a specific socioeconomic background, who struggle with these winnings?
Yes and no. Yes, in a sense that, as you correctly mentioned, from those socioeconomic backgrounds, those kind of people would require financial education. I mean, from having nothing today to having multi-millions in your account tomorrow is literally mind-blowing. And the financial education there definitely lacks because you really just don't know what to do with this huge, significant amount of money. So in that sense, I would say that there is a requirement for financial education in that sense for that specific group of people.
Yeah, and safety considerations. I know Ithuba often will not announce who the person is, for obvious reasons, right? Including perhaps some of their family members who might be listening. But safety is a real concern. Once people know that you have links to multi-million rands, they obviously want to be associated with you, sometimes in illegal ways.
Safety is a concern, yes. However, I do also want to make a point that maintaining a winner's privacy is actually a requirement on our side. Usually when a winner comes in to claim, we do actually ask them to, would they like to give consent for us to publish their names or any other personal related information, and then they quite often decline, as you've noted. And it is actually a huge mandatory requirement on our part to maintain their privacy. From a security perspective, that is usually one of their biggest concerns as well, besides family members, but just the public at large, whether it's fellow colleagues or acquaintances out there who suddenly know that now you're a millionaire, might actually come in sinister ways, sinister claims on the winner.
Right. Let's speak about the advice in a bit more detail. Let's say I've just won $100 million cash, as they say in the streets. What is your approach to someone like me? By the way, I've never come anywhere near that kind of money, so I'd need all the advice I can get.
Okay, so I will take you from a process of where you have just played and the draw takes place and you check your tickets and realize, oh wow, I've won. So you then obviously come to your nearest Ithuba office, depending on where you are in the country. And like I mentioned, you obviously would call first, and when you come in physically, there would of course be a team of psychologists or financial advisors who will sit you through and explain the entire process for you and basically just guide you. And what we then do is we have an operational team that then processes your winnings. They will obviously tell you what it is that they require, whether it's your banking details or your ID book or any form of identification, and they will of course explain how the money will then be transferred into your account. And there is then what we call a PR process, which we've just spoken about now, where we ask the winner to give consent for us to do a story or publish their details in the media. They then, of course, have the option to accept or decline. And it's really around about that. And the winnings are then processed within 72 hours.
Sure. That's a really short period of time to go from potentially zero to hero. Thank you so much for helping us unpack all that you need to know if you find yourself as a winner of something like the lottery, but important issues around financial management underpinning all those considerations. Lebogang Mokoena is a corporate specialist with Ithuba, helping us unpack all those different issues.